impromptu live. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I just turned my volume up on the side a little bit, so if you're having trouble hearing, you might have to turn up the volume for this one a little. Anyway, I'm taking a movie marathon break. Netflix has, like, all the James Bond movies are leaving in a few days, so, and they had that advertised, and I got a free Netflix with ads with my phone plan, so when I logged in, it was like, oh, James Bond. It's like, I haven't seen some of these in a while, so that's what's been going on in the background at my house for the last few days. Anyway, gonna get into these cards here, and no dogs jumping on the bed right now, so it's a safe, quiet. It's a safe, quiet zone. Oh my gosh, I just fed them an evening snack since it's the weekend. They get some extra goodies for it being the weekend. Anyway, let's see what these cards fall out. I myself had a nice little light dinner the other day. Treated myself out to eat, which was nice because I don't usually do that too much anymore, just because the dogs keep me pretty busy. But you know what I mean. I don't like to leave them unattended for too long. I don't want them at each other's throats. So, which, kind of happens sometimes. All right, look at that. 10 of Cups. Who wants it? Come claim it. Happy endings. Yeah. And you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How is this going to happen? Yeah, it might be a mystery to you right now. We also just had a new moon. So whatever you're wanting to manifest, whatever you're trying to put into fruition, whatever your seeds you're planting, is it a good seed? We just had the new moon. So think about that. Are you planting seeds of hope and love? Right? Okay. Queen of Wands, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Again, Aries energy. I've had Aries come out like the last 4 readings in a row. That's wild. So this is the feminine version here. So you have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius with the Queen of Wands. Maybe you're just somebody who, likes, you're like, oh, thank God the time changed. Now I can, do more stuff outside. Thank God that spring is here. No more stuck inside gloominess. Some people like being curled up indoors. Some people hate it, right? So this might be your season to kind of get out there and explore life a little bit. Judgment. Okay. So I feel like what has happened in this situation, collective, and judgment came out the other day, is that some judgment may have been called on situations where you might have been feeling a little trapped. Okay. But this is kind of like, when Easter comes, the rebirth. We're coming out of the Lenten season, and then this, spring is here. Now you get to experience joy and abundance. So if there was something holding you back before from experiencing this joy and abundance, you don't have to anymore. Your season is here, okay? And you are not going to be judged for it, right? Somebody's saying in the comments that they had a altercation with an animal. Usually I think animal bites are supposed to go to a facility to get checked out. It probably depends on how bad it was. You know what I mean? So if you're unsure, especially if you're overseas there, how your name says in the UK, don't you guys have like free healthcare? So just walk into the clinic, right? 5 of Swords. Okay, so yeah, it could be in spite of or despite other things that people have said about you, right? Probably lies. Let's face it, people that have a lot to say, especially about other people's lives, usually don't even know the tip of the iceberg, right? So if you've been feeling not quite yourself, part of it is because of the things that other people have said about you. You know what I mean? This FYI in the chat, this is a collective reading. Okay. So, if other people have said some things that are not too kind, you're like, whoa, like I'm just out here trying to do my job, taking one step at a time, right? Moving through the doorways of life. And, if some people can't accept that, that's their problem, okay? And that's why they may be the ones that are going through that, yeah. They're the ones going through that judgment right now. You know what I mean? So in how do you say, like, like a duck, just let the water roll right off your back, let it roll off your back, because um as we know, what is that little kid saying? um I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever bounces off of me sticks to you, especially when they're talking about lies. Eventually, these people will run out of people to listen to them. Eventually, the lies come back on them, and then the truth actually starts to unfold. And then people are like, oh, then they realize they've been taken, they've been had. And then that can create a whole nother batch of lies, right? And they're like, well, I only believe them because they said this and this and this. Well, yeah, maybe you wanted to believe that because you were just a petty Betty. Maybe you wanted to believe that because you had nothing else going on in your life. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Um, because it's like it kind of reminds me of this one relationship I had, and the guy just constantly was like, I just know you're gonna cheat on me, or you're flirting with this, you're doing this, and I was like, I cannot even compete with the things that you come up with in your head. So how can I even begin to defend against things that, number one, are invented, didn't actually happen? Two, obviously, he wasn't there, so where's the witnesses, right? And then I also kind of realized, I was like, you know what? This person doesn't even have a 9 to 5. They don't go in and punch a clock like I do, so their perception of reality is hugely distorted, right? Because I think at the time, he was, kind of a independent operator. You know what I mean? Where it's like, how other people do it as a side hustle, but he was making it his main job. Well, obviously, then his other main job was to sit around and commiserate with himself about how to try and make me feel miserable for being at work and doing my job. And it's like, wow, if I was as active and as feisty as y'all say, I mean, gee whiz, I would have been divorced a few more times by now. Do you know what I mean? And yet I've never been even married. So do you know what I'm saying? It's these kind of things, and then, or they'll be like, oh well, they're hiding it. You know what I mean? Like, who am I, Janet Jackson, running off and getting a hidden marriage? I mean, come on. It's just, you have to understand, this is what some folks do for entertainment. It literally is like watching one of those soap operas on TV. And you just think like, oh, did they really think they're going to get away with this? And some people, they do. But, it's one of those things where, too, you kind of just, yeah, here, the sun card on you're not letting it affect you, your day to day. It's kind of one of those things like, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you, and I hope you figure it out someday. You know? Right. Okay. So, yeah, somebody in the chat sharing a prayer as well. I mean, sometimes that's all you can do, right? Because these people don't want real answers. They want the version that they made up in their minds, right? And that's why they're going through this judgment now, whereas you already did. You're already after your goals, hitting it, right? And that's what they don't like, but they don't like that. They sure don't. Them tongues be wagging, don't they? Them tongues be wagging. Oh my gosh. And some of that too is like narcissism, right? You know, they think everything has to do with them. And it's like, shockingly, no. Like people have other things going on in their lives, right? Yeah, 10 of wands. They wanted to put all their burdens on you and leave you empty-handed instead of going after um hey, what did I say about that? Stay out of that garbage. Stay out of there. My newer dog, he's a sneaky one, you know, and so he likes to anytime he gets quiet, I have to figure out what he's up to cuz he's got that playfulness of a puppy, but he totally knows what he's doing. He knows. He knows the difference. So, yeah, it's, you know, like one of those things where people like fake, you know, that fake incompetence. And they're like, oh, well, if I just sit here, then somebody else will do it for me. And this is so weird because I was thinking about that concept, you know, because I do have a lot of respect for people that say go into the armed forces and, you know, but there's some that the reason they're there is because they cannot function in society. Right? What do they teach you there? You know, how to pick up after yourself, how to make your bed, how to sit and eat at a table without being a jerk to everybody else, right? And so some of those people will come back out of those situations and be like, okay, well, now I'm the boss. I get to boss everybody else around. You get to carry all my stuff for me. And it's like, no, that's not quite, you're not quite understanding. You know, so some of these folks are being forced to pick up now, you know, after themselves when they wanted you feeling like you had all this to do and this and that, but you've already been blessed spiritually. Okay, let's put it that way, where you're understanding your alignment, you're understanding your purpose, your goals, and things like that. And they're like, what? They're not going to carry out my goals for me? No, no, we're not. That's on you. Make a plan, get it going, right? Yeah, Seven of Cups. You have a lot of opportunities here. Okay. Somebody could have wanted you to be confused about those opportunities. Like, oh, don't go into business with so and so, you're going to go broke. Oh, don't go travel here, you might get kidnapped. Oh, yeah, okay. All sorts of things can happen in life, right? But obviously, collective, you've gotten it, made it this far, and made it this far without doing what? Putting up with these people's BS. Guess what? That means you're free to go. Exactly. You know, there's other people who have to have their come to Jesus moment, whether they want to or not. You know, you already did. Uh, Page of Pentacles. Yeah. So it's like you're looking at it with fresh eyes now. You know, maybe you're not a believer in, you know, God per se or the Christian faith, but maybe you understand, you know, a universal power, a higher power, laws of nature and physics. You could even be a young mother as well. I'm kind of getting that vibe with this. I don't normally, but with this particular card. So this could be one of those things where you know, maybe you're entering motherhood and, you know, you're realizing that your spouse or your partner or whoever isn't carrying their weight in the situation. And you're like, look, this is what I wanted. This is the promise that I'm going to keep. So you're going to have to figure out a way to carry some of your own stuff because now that this is here, you know what I mean? Things are going to change, you know, and, that's just a fact of life, right? And some people can't stand that, right? It's like, ask, you know, if it's not about them, then they want everyone else to be miserable. It has to be on their rules. And it's like, you know what? Why don't you go back to the military or go back to whatever office where you were king for a minute, okay? And try it again and see how far it's going to get you. And the reason that they haven't gone back to those places because they know they'd be out on their rump. And a lot of times, you know what, collective? Oh my God. And this happened so many times in my corporate career. Oh my God. You'd see these people walking up and down the hallway and then, walking with their coffee, acting like they're a friggin' supervisor. And it's like, dude, you spend more time out of your desk than you do at your desk. And then they'd be like, oh, well, I did to do, and I did to do, and it's just like, oh my God. And insufferable. Right? Like I can just hear their performance review and they're telling their boss like how wonderful they are and how dumb everybody else is, right? Where they just have no concept of reality. What did one of my old mentors used to say? A legend in their own mind. Yeah. So here, yeah, Queen of Pentacles, you have other things to be doing, collective, than chasing around these lies, chasing around judgments that don't belong to you, right? Like how I went out for dinner the other day, maybe that's like a big step for you. And maybe it's not for you going out to dinner. Maybe you like to go out and get, like, this person has her hair done. You know what I mean? Maybe you like to go out and get your hair done or go out and get your nails done. It's like a little me time. But you know what? You earned it, right? Because you're keeping your home with or without this partner. Okay. I feel like, collective, you are partner minded though. That's why the 10 of Cups came out. It's just that sometimes we don't have a partner with us and we find that we're a lot stronger than we ever thought. Yeah, look at that. On the bottom of the deck, 6 of Wands energy. So, celebrate those little victories when you can. Okay. Because there's always going to be somebody to come around and say, you're this or you're that. You know what I mean? Because they ain't got nothing going on for themselves. Surprise, surprise. The other day I came out of this gas station. I had to get some gas for the mower, and because I actually mow my own grass. Uh, you know, I'm handy like that. Anyway, um, to me, it's a very peaceful time to be outside, and I like it. To me, it's almost like meditation. But I had come out of there, and I commented, there was a couple people sitting outside. I kind of looked over and I was like, hey, I was like, they don't sell lottery tickets in here anymore. And the guy inside told me, and this shows how often I go to this gas station. He's like, yeah, I think we stopped that like a year ago. I was like, oh, really? Which I don't buy lottery tickets all the time, but you can't win if you don't play. You buy, the Mega and the Powerball, all this stuff. So I buy a ticket every now and then. So obviously I didn't buy one at that station, but the people sitting outside, that I wouldn't say that they had a big day ahead of them, okay? I'm just going to say that much. But they had no idea that you couldn't purchase lottery in there either. So, I don't know, maybe they didn't have any money to spend on lottery, but it's just kind of that awareness of where you're at, right? And it's like, like when somebody wants to come in and criticize your food, criticize your housekeeping, criticize your whatever. And it's like, excuse me, are you paying the bills here? You're not? Oh, okay. Now that we got that cleared up, right? Your opinion means squat. And this is how you gotta kind of, if that's this friend over here, alleged friend, right? That's where you can be like, well, you know what? Maybe I don't really need that opportunity, you know. Because a lot of people will be like, oh well, so and so works at blah 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 and they're real influential in the community. Well, maybe so and so is a jerk. There was, allegedly somebody influential that, like, I was on my way out of this establishment and she was obviously intoxicated. But she said some really nasty things to me, and I had never, like, even had a full-blown conversation with this woman before in my whole life. And it's just like, who does she think she's talking to right now? I mean, some of these people are so out of their minds that it's like, yeah, I'm turning that one over to the higher power because obviously she's got something wrong up there mentally. Like, mentally. Cause like, why do you just walk in someplace and start hollering at somebody that you don't even know and saying, "Oh, you're," I don't even remember. It was just, I don't even remember what she said because it just caught me so off guard because I would never expect that, just from, from, because I'm not even like a social acquaintance of hers, you know what I mean? But like I know who she is because, she has a business and it's like, yeah, that's not somebody I'm going to be hanging out with anytime soon. And whatever burden she was carrying that day, she wanted to try and put that on me. And it's like, again, I don't know this chick from Susanna. You know what I mean? Like, who is this broad and why is she yapping her trap is kind of what I was thinking. And I got out of there and I thought, man, and there's people that think I have a drinking problem. Like, anyway. Well, thank you for adding the channel. You can also just like the video as well. I find that also, if you don't want to do, have too many subscriptions on your YouTube, if you just like the, other creators' videos, usually that brings it into your algorithm. And trust me, because there are people who I haven't watched for a hot minute and they will be still popping up in my algorithm and I will click, not interested, not interested, and they'll still be popping up days later. So even if you like one or two videos, trust me, you'll probably get sick of seeing the notifications by then. Which for some of you, this is where I feel like you're at. You're like, yeah, I don't need those notifications. I know what I need to do. I got it. I'm on plan now, right? And so many of us think we need, yeah, Eight of Wands. So many of us think we need a partner to devise a plan, but really the partner you need is your higher power, okay? And then the people around you are either gonna like kind of fill in, right? And be that support system or they'll fall away, and the ones that fall away were never meant to be there, right? And that could be, and I don't want to like get too heavy on this message because that's not the energy I'm getting, but sometimes that can involve family as well, where it's like, oh, I thought this person would be a little bit more supportive of this happening or, whatever. Um, but not all, not everybody's like that. Not everybody is built the way that you are. Not everybody even sees this 10 of cups as a possibility. I remember when I was at a math and science competition in high school. I think we were seniors at that time, and this guy got up and he told us, all of us, basically not to go to medical school. He got up there and made this speech. I don't think they knew he was going to say this, but and he was like, don't do this unless you're prepared to go $250,000 in debt. Well, this was the late 90s, okay? So you can imagine, what $250,000 is now. I mean, imagine, how many years ago that was. Close to 30 years ago now. And, I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, yeah, that is a lot of money. I can't even fathom saving that much money, So, the reality of like, oh, like if you actually wanted to become a doctor, it's going to cost not only these years of your life, but that amount of money. And then you're still on the hook. So, it wasn't necessarily probably the message that people wanted him to deliver, but it was still a reality check. And maybe for some people, he did save them the time and aggravation because, as we age, we get into, the medical system or, the school education system or whatever. And we find that there are some things that just are not super kosher, right? I'm not saying don't take your blood pressure medicine, but, the other day when I was getting my hair done, they were talking about beetroot, to lower, and they make it like in pill form now. You can just take, but yeah, beets. Eating beets is definitely something that's clinically been proven, so eating your way to a healthy lifestyle, right? Versus just popping a pill, like right now we have all the diet craze stuff. And I think that's already reflected out in Hollywood where it's like, yeah, people taking it to extremes, so it's like, yeah, they say it's good for you except causes la 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 and you could die, like or maybe you just need to follow grandma's advice over here and get to sleep a little earlier, brush your teeth twice a day, eat your vegetables instead of drinking gallons of juice, whatever it is that's kind of that common sense stuff, right? Okay. Um, and not taking away anything that like happened recently in politics, because I think some of the progression that the current administration has made in terms of the field of medicine, or especially around reclassification of marijuana and psychedelics, is a good step in the right direction, which it probably would have happened under other administrations as well, but it's happening under this one. But like, did I need Joe Rogan in order to tell me that? No. I mean, somebody's grandmother out there before Joe Rogan was even a spark in his daddy's eye. Okay, somebody was out there doing these things, right? Everybody thinks they're the first, right? And sometimes you come to find out it's like, oh, well, I may look like a page because I'm starting here, but that doesn't mean I don't have skills. That doesn't mean I don't have knowledge. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have knowledge passed down from your ancestors, right? So if there's that kind of fear, right? And some of that is fear mongering that happens, right? They'll be like, oh, well, how are you going to do this without so and so? And it's like, I don't know, the same way that I've been doing it, like, so yeah, back to, celebrating you. It's like, yeah, I was pretty awesome like when I got here. So, that awesomeness hasn't, there's people that want to come and rub off your shine, right? And they'll be like, oh, well, they're nothing special. Oh, blah, blah. Well, to you, maybe they're not, but to somebody else, they're the fucking bee's knees. So, you know what I mean? Hey, 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 calm it down. Calm it down. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Hey, stop. Stop. Knock it off. Please. Please. Oh, my heavens. Here we go. Hey, what'd I say? Stop. Well, I feel bad for the poor squirrel that's going to encounter him later. He says, that's enough of the reading. I want to watch more James Bond. Okay. Yeah, see, he swims in. Stay out of there. Stay out of that garbage. What'd I say? Little goober? Pulled his little plate out of there that was... He had a snack on earlier. Oh my god. Alrighty. So, like I said, collective, keep your eye on the prize, even if it seems like outlandish. Okay, don't give up that hope, I guess is what I wanna say. Because things might happen in ways where you didn't really expect. And you might be getting more out of the situation than what maybe a traditional path may have taken you. Okay. And I think that's why they say sometimes like college isn't for everyone, because not to say discourage people from going to college or getting a technical degree or anything like that afterwards, um but to realize that it doesn't have to happen in such a linear fashion, right? What did they say? Like Vera Wang didn't make her first dress until like 40 or 50 years old. Same with Julia Child. She wasn't even on television until 40 years old. there's a lot of possibilities and potential out there. Don't waste yours. Okay. If you are feeling strong in your, basic skills and abilities, right? Keep up with that. Don't try and pay too much attention to this, because that tongue is going to continue to wag. Uh, maybe one day it won't. Maybe one day they'll shut up. Or maybe it's one of those things where you're like, I don't really want to go to your Aunt Bessie's house anymore for Easter, because, every time we go there, she's got something to say about this and that. You know what I mean? Especially if your partner is not the type of person to like stand up, and be like, oh, well, I don't think you really need to be talking about them like that. You know what I mean? Um, because some people, they don't ever outgrow that, right? Kind of like that military analogy where, some people, they learn a few tricks, but they're not able to capitalize it outside of the system, right? They're only able to operate in that little silo. Okay. So, and that's not taking anything away from anybody who's, gone through those experiences, but we are all skilled at different levels. Okay. Yeah. So, star energy here with the fountain Aquarius. Yeah, Aquarians are very, say, intellectually independent. So, their ability to stay emotionally detached, and especially when it does come to, say, their family, right? Because they're like, well, as far as I can tell, I'm the one over here raising these kids, not you, right? As far as I can tell, I'm the one putting on the roof on the house, not you, right? As far as I can tell, I'm the one who can afford to go out to dinner and feed the family, not you. So it's what I'm saying. People that want to be like, oh, well, but like, hey, honey, we all had to go through it. We all had to go through it and heal, and then pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, right? Isn't that what the Republicans love to say? Pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. Although I really shouldn't be complaining, because hey, I was able to put a new roof on my house this year. But that stuff's expensive. So, the fact that I didn't have to go through a whole bunch of turmoil, jumping through a whole bunch of hoops that other people set up for me. No. I played the game, I won. And now, me and the doggies get to watch 007. You know what I mean? With our free with ads Netflix, okay? Yeah, there are two paths you can go down, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Who sang it? Led Zeppelin, right? Don't feel stuck. Don't feel stuck. Because and you could be in one of those things where it's like, well, you say that now, but right, and thing is, it can always get worse, but it requires your effort to get better, right? And maybe, as somebody was mentioning earlier in the chat, it comes down to just saying a little prayer, to your higher power, to the God, whoever that is for you. Maybe for you it's the Marvel universe. I don't know. Anyway, so that'll be next, right? The superhero marathon. Yeah. Wheel of Fortune. So yeah. It's one of those things like, you can, not buy a lottery ticket and complain that when you don't win, or you can take the chance and put in your little $2 or your $5 or whatever and say, well, maybe it's going to turn out. Right? You don't know unless you spin that wheel. So staying stationary, that's not in your calling right now. Your calling is to, get out there, be a mover and a shaker, right? And some people be like, well, why do you get to do that? Well, because that's just what you do. Like, what? You know, it's like, some people they think, at what, 30 years old or 40 years old, you're just going to be sitting there knitting like for 8 hours straight. I mean, if that's what really gets you off, I mean, hey, go for it. But not everybody's like that. Not everyone's going to be like that at 60 or 70 years old either. I have relatives that are still married that, they go out and, they probably can't dance as long as they used to, but, do they like to go out to, you know what I mean? And take that opportunity when it presents itself. All right. So I guess the thing is, don't be intimidated by these naysayers. I feel like there's some of that in the energy that's trying to come out. But the thing is, the way you're presenting yourself and the way you're striking your goals, it's more like it's just exposing some jealousy is what it's doing. Um, and you know, those people will never understand your joy because some of them are too small minded. Okay. And that's what you got to remember, is that you don't have time to worry about that. Let them worry about them. Right. And for them, justice will happen eventually. Right. Okay. Alrighty. I feel like this was a pretty good read for you guys. Hopefully you're able to hear me okay. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Thank you for the nice uh, chat today and comments. So we'll see you later. Bye bye.